day, Africa, and welcome to AAU Talks on AAU TV. AAU TV is the voice of higher education in Africa. I am Essumamba Sam, and I'll be your host for this edition. Today's topic for discussion is innovation for food security in Kenya. But before we go deep into the discussion, we'll go for a quick break, and when we return, I shall introduce my guests. Do stay tuned.
My name is Dennis Ndolo, a second-year student at JQuat, pursuing a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering. I found the lecturers in JQuat to be very welcoming. I found the staff to be very competent in the work they are doing. The facilities at JQuat are well equipped, making it helping you achieve the particular skills that you require in order for you to graduate as a competent engineer. JQuat has given me an experience of interacting with people from different cultures, meeting with people from different backgrounds. JQuat has helped me nurture my leadership skills in the field from the Students' Union. JQuat has made me different because it has offered me a higher field to interact where you are free. So it gives you a space for you to be able to choose and know what to do at what particular time. JQuat is the best university in engineering in the country and at large even in East Africa and the Central of Africa. Join us on the 30th of November here at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology as we have the 32nd graduation for JQuat and the 4th graduation for POSTI.
Welcome back from the break. Just like I said before the break, today's discussion will focus on innovation for food security in Kenya. You can follow this discussion on our social media handles at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and on our dedicated website at tv.aau.org. Today's guest for this discussion is Professor Mary Abukutsa, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research, Production and Extension at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology here in Kenya. Madam, you're welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you.
Okay. Apart from the introduction I gave to you, do you have anything else to add to it?
Thank you very much. I'm a professor of horticulture at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. I'm also Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of research, production and extension. I'm also a researcher. I've been doing a lot of research on African indigenous vegetables for over 3 decades to be able to reposition it, to be able to make these foods that have been neglected to contribute to food security and nutrition in Africa.
Okay. To begin with, what is the state of agriculture in Kenya in terms of policies, the niche, and if production is done on the sustenance or the mechanized levels?
Agriculture in Kenya is a mainstay occupation. It contributes a lot to the economy of the country, and we find that most of the production is done by small-scale farmers. These small-scale farmers actually largely subsistence, producing a diversity of crops. Also in Kenya, only 20% of the land is agricultural high potential land, and 80% is arid and semi-arid. So most of the production is done using rain-fed, and it's only done in high potential areas.
Okay. So apart from what you just mentioned, what other things do you think accounts for the low productivity in agriculture in Africa?
Now, there are so many challenges that face the agricultural farmers in Africa, one of which is unpredictable climate, because these days farmers prepare land for production, and then you find that the rain doesn't come as expected. That's one of the major issues or challenges that we have observed in Kenya and also in Africa. Or alternatively, rain comes early, and during the planting time, the rain disappears, or when you've planted, the rain comes too much and floods the crops. Other challenges are that most of the farmers are not using the technologies of production in terms of agronomical practices. They do not use the right inputs, maybe partly because they are not able to buy the inputs, so contributes to low production. And even where there is production, high production, we have an issue of post-harvest losses. We find we lose a lot of produce through post-harvest losses. So we may get a good produce, but because of poor technologies, you find most of the crops is lost, whether it's grain or horticultural crops, and sometimes we record as much as over 50% loss of our produce. So those are some of the factors. There are several that contribute to low productivity in Kenya and in Africa as a whole.
Okay, just like you said, these issues run through a lot of African countries. What are some of the policies that the Kenyan government has put in place to make sure that agriculture becomes sustainable in the continent?
Okay, Kenya as a country has had several agricultural policies since independence, but I want to just start the recent one that has been anchored on Vision 2030. The Kenyan government developed Vision 2030 to ensure that Kenya becomes a newly developing country, and also it is seriously grounded in its economic development. And out of this, and as I said earlier, agriculture being the mainstay of the economy of Kenya, they have, out of the Vision 2030, several policies have been developed. Now, this Vision 2030 was coined around 2008, and out of that, in 2012, 2013, the Kenyan government developed the food security policy that was driving the agricultural production, and there was also the national nutritional policy. They go hand in hand so that they could be able to improve the productivity. Recently, in the last 1 or 2 years, the Kenyan government has also developed a policy that wants to transform the agricultural productivity and production for better yields and also agribusiness.
Okay. So not just to say that there are policies, there should be examples or success stories to back the policies. How successful has the policies been in promoting food security in Kenya?
The experience we have in Kenya that we have actually very good policies, but the challenge has been that even with these policies, we know that agriculture in Kenya, like many other Africans, is a social activity. Like you can't tell a farmer that we can have mechanized this agriculture and they just come and buy the food. I think something like an occupation, something they do like a livelihood, and it's like anchored into their social and cultural practices. So you find that even if you have a policy, you try to tell the farmer to grow particular crops, but he maybe wants to grow them in a particular way. So it's something changing the mindset of the farmers has been an issue, even with these very good policies. So this has actually slowed down the implementation of the realization. However, having said that, we still have seen strides in many of the production. We have seen technologies that are increased productivity. We have seen diversification of production in Kenya that has contributed to the food security and nutrition in Kenya. So I think we are still on the right track. At the moment, the government is now focusing on transforming the agricultural sector so that it is largely looked at as an agribusiness, so that even if a small-scale farmer, when you produce food, you aim at producing food to sell and eat the surplus. Secondly, the government also wants to look at agriculture production all year round. What I mean is that largely most of the farmers depend on rain, but now the new technologies are being developed. The farmer can be able to use irrigation so that the production is not just limited to the rain. During the rainy season, you can produce throughout the year. So those are some of the issues that the government is grappling with to ensure and improve the agricultural sector.
Okay. Usually there's the ideology that policies favor those who are into plantation farming and not the peasant farmers. How is the Agenda 2030 favoring the peasant farmers in Kenya?
When you look at this, it is we look at the technologies. The government is encouraging the development of technologies that can favor small-scale farmers, not the mechanization. For example, I'll give an example. Like we are talking about drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is where you can even irrigate in a small area. We are talking about water harvesting, simple water harvesting technologies that can be used in the large dry areas. That only 80% of Kenya is semi-arid. So the government is encouraging the development of technology that can be used by small-scale farmers, of course, to complement the large plantations. So even if they are still small-scale, they're encouraged to do at their level small-scale production that is optimal, productive, and also bring in money to the farmers.
Okay. So how expensive is agriculture in Kenya?
In terms of production, it's quite expensive because of the inputs, largely fertilizer. I know that the government has made efforts to subsidize the farmers' inputs, especially we had a program in Kenya to subsidize fertilizer prices. But you find many farmers, as I said earlier, that most of these are small-scale farmers that own small pieces of land, 1 acre or less than 2 acres. And these farmers, actually, they are resource poor. So you find even if they wanted to, they cannot be able to afford to buy the inputs, the high quality seed that are certified, and also fertilizers and chemicals for the protection of the crops while it is in the field.
Okay. So in your opinion, why do you think we should champion innovation for food security on the continent?
If you look at innovations, it's just a new way of doing things. Innovations are those technologies that you come up with that will solve the existing problems. I had mentioned earlier, for example, the large production of food in Africa is rain-fed. Then we need to develop technology so that we can be able to produce food throughout the year. So innovations are very important because they will improve the productivity in the first place. They will improve the quality of the produce. They will also help us preserve what we have produced, that we lose, we minimize the post-harvest losses. So we are talking about innovations that can be developed across the value chain, where from the farm to the plate, so that you optimize productivity and also the quality of the produce.
Okay. Do you think what you just said, production from the farm to the plate, will be achievable in Africa within the shortest possible time?
I believe that Africa is a continent that's going to save the world, because as we are one, we still have large tracts of land that have not been cultivated. Technologies are coming up, and we have the youngest population in the world. So all we need to do is to make agriculture acceptable to the young people by bringing these innovations, so that they are not thinking that agriculture is just an old djembe and an old person or an old man digging. So that we need to influence the young people to love and accept agriculture and engage in it. And the way to do it is to make them use new technologies, and also make them know that you can get money out of this. We have so many unemployed youth, and some of the ways to do that is to make sure that food, everyone must eat. So if you can produce food, you cannot miss to get a market or to get someone to buy. So that's how we are seeing that actually Africa is the bread basket for the future.
Okay, this has been a very insightful discussion with you. But then we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we shall continue with the discussion.
Thank you.
Okay. We've been discussing innovation for food security in Kenya with Professor Mary Abukutsa, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Production, Research and Extension at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we shall dive more into what Jomo Kenyatta is doing to promote agriculture on the continent. Do stay tuned.
My name is Jason Gikonyo. I'm a 5th year student. I take electrical and electronic engineering at JKUAT.
My name is Claire Wahome, and
my name is Mabel Karani,
and we both studied telecommunication
and information engineering.
Of the options that I had, JKUAT was among the best, and JKUAT is known, especially in my field of specialization, JKUAT is among the best institutions that we have, not only in Kenya, but also in Central and East Africa.
I think Jomo Kenyatta University is also very broad. Like, it has so many avenues, whether you look at infrastructure, you look at lecturers, or you look at the equipment. So that's why we chose JKUAT, and we think it's the best university in Kenya.
I believe in women in engineering, so we should try to empower more women to do this course, because it's not only a man's course.
If a man can do it, a woman can also do it better.
In engineering, the only 2 universities in Kenya, JKUAT and the rest.
JKUAT is your best bet for engineering.
Welcome back from the break. If you just joined, this is AAU Talks, and we are discussing innovation for food security in Kenya. And I have with me the DVC of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, in charge of research, production, and extension, in the person of Professor Mary Abukutsa. Oh, yeah, welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
Yes. Prof, so what is your institution doing to promote food security in Africa?
Okay, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology has a vision of being a university of global excellence in research, in training, research, innovation, technology development, entrepreneurship for development. So agriculture is one of our key. Actually, it is our niche area, because that's what, when we started, that's where we said agriculture and technology. So we have been actually contributing a lot in terms of training. So I want to say that we have a whole college of agriculture and natural resource who have various programs that train agriculturalists. And in that contribution, these students and lecturers do a lot of research in agriculture, and they have developed a lot of technologies that have been contributing to food security and nutrition in Kenya.
Okay. What is your institution doing to make agriculture attractive to the youth, since the youth they are the future leaders of the continent?
Now we have several deliberate efforts that are being made to attract the youth. One, we have what we call Tech Expo. Tech Expo is where the young people come up with technologies during their undergraduate, these undergraduate students, during their training as agriculturalists and even related areas like food science and technology. They do projects, and then these projects now, they compete among themselves. They put out a call, they given trying to explain why their projects are solving particular problems either within Kenya or in the world or within Africa. So they compete within JKUAT and also other universities. This is done by just you write down your innovation and you come and explain, you come and demonstrate. And we've done this for 10 years. I think we had the last one in January this year. Then out of this, this competition, you see these young people come up with very, very innovative ways. Some of these innovative ways of doing agriculture helps a lot to attract other youth, because these youth people, when they do it, they talk about it everywhere. During Tech Expo, we invite other people, we invite the community, and also they go on TV or media to talk about their technologies. So this has actually encouraged most of the young people to like agriculture. Secondly, we do mentoring, we talk to them. And for example, me personally, I've been involved in talking to young people and telling them how agriculture is, because many people take agriculture as a last resort. But I give myself as an example. As I was a student, all my teachers wanted me to do medicine, but I chose to do agriculture because they believed agriculture is for poor students. So when they come in first year, like this year we have first years, this week we have first years, you go and tell them that I give myself as an example, as a mentor, that I have done agriculture and I've made it, I've succeeded. And many of them who are considering to change into other courses, change them. They even come and tell me that we didn't know this, agriculture was good. And the other things we go until we have a collaboration with the media houses. So sometimes they invite us to talk, and I've personally also gone on media and said how good agriculture is, and why we should embrace agriculture. And largely, I say a simple thing. I just say all of us must eat. So it's a key number one. Even if you are a doctor or you are a medical person, you must eat first before you take the medicine. I always say the first line of action of improving quality of life is agriculture. So that has helped a lot in terms of just talking to them, showing them that agriculture is good. The other thing I tell the community or Kenyans in public is that we should stop using agriculture as a punishment. Because mostly in primary schools, you find when you have made a mistake, you go to the garden, go and dig. So now that creates a negative attitude. So we are re-educating the masses that agriculture should not be used as a punishment. So those are some of the avenues we use to entice the young people to take agriculture. And then another thing is to tell them, how do you make money? You know, these young people want to grow rich.
Exactly.
And you just say, you will do this, like we have engagement of some of our students. We have students organizations. We have JQuat horticulture students. So they are practicing, they're growing the vegetables and selling, and they have our own kitty. So they are making money. So you can see really there's money in agriculture. So this has helped many of the young people to embrace agriculture. And we go to schools. We go to schools as a university, different schools, to just talk about agriculture, to tell them the importance of agriculture and just show how good it is and how you can do it without necessarily carrying a djembe and a hoe all the time, all day, but you can use some technologies to improve productivity, greenhouse farming, many others. And that is working, but we need to do more. And then we have encouraged the government to put policies in place so that even in primary school, secondary school, they should also have that as part of subjects, so that people start learning agriculture. And this we have what we have introduced called competency-based curricula, which is just being introduced in Kenya, and we think that agriculture showing practically will be good for them to know that we can practice this thing, we can feed. Some of them even do this, create these gardens and feed themselves. So there are many, many avenues. So that we just have to make that effort. And I think the young people are very, very versatile and responsive. We just need to tell them that it is the key to life, whatever you do.
Okay.
Yes.
And your institution is an agricultural-based one.
Yes.
What's your focal area in terms of, are you more into food production, renewable, sustainable renewal of natural resources, or animal production? What's your focal area?
For now, we have, in the first place, we were focusing more on horticulture. Horticulture, the fruits, vegetables, and that's our strong area. And then we have also come in with the agronomy. Agronomy, where you are looking at the field crops and other crops, food crops. But we are very strong in horticulture largely. And then we also very good in agribusiness, a recent introduction, because we realize that in line with the government's policy, we need to train people who are not just thinking about horticulture as a subject, but it's something we want to make money of it. So it's out of agriculture. And then we tell them we are training job creators, not job seekers. So when you do your agriculture, you just come out of here and be able to practice and get money. And then we have also animal production, but it was introduced in the last 4 years, a new introduction, because we thought that we need to balance. Instead of just focusing on crops, we also need to do animal production. But we have gone beyond just doing animal production. We are producing unusual foods, not common foods, like we have insect farming, cricket farming, grasshopper farming, so that people can even use that as food. And it's something that is coming up. We are introducing that. So, of course, people are skeptical about it. So we are doing new things plus old things, but we are very strong in the mostly horticulture and a bit of agriculture and agronomy. And then we have food, science and technology, developing new products that are preserved and can go to the market now in the food science and technology. So for example, we have a lot of fruit products, fruit juices, we have yogurt and other products that we are producing to take to the market. So those are the areas we are very strong, but we hope to expand. And we do this in conjunction with our stakeholders. We find out what is the demand for the courses that are in demand, and then also we look at the policy of the government. Horticulture has been very strong because we export a lot of horticultural produce, and actually it is the top foreign exchange earner in Kenya among between competing with tea and tourism.
What are some of the relatable research outcomes that your institution has come out with, and how are they disseminated to the local farmer? Are they just published in high-end journals and left on the bookshelves? Yeah. Basically.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I want to start by saying that overall, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology has developed about 50 innovations that are patented. Out of these, almost half of them are in agriculture, because agriculture is our niche areas. Very many innovations, and these innovations actually have been very, very useful to the farmers, because these innovations we share. We normally have avenues through which we share our innovations. Just today we had an open day. That open day, we invite schools, we invite industry, we also invite other stakeholders to come and see what we have developed, so that we can find a way of collaborating. The other thing we have is we take part in shows and exhibitions. So we take our innovations to the shows, and farmers come, we take their contacts, and thereafter we find people who will come and follow up, and if they want to use the innovation, then they further come to the university and we share with them. Then also Tech Expo I talked about is one of the ways we are also sharing. During Tech Expo we invite everybody to come, the public, the general public, to come to see our young people innovating. The other thing we do, we are using media. Okay. In the last 1 year or more than 2 years, we partnered with one of our major newspaper, a standard newspaper, and every Saturday we have what we call Smart Harvest and Technology, and in that we put our technologies, and this also has helped us to be known as a university. Actually, it has also boosted the intake of students. Students prefer Jomo Kenyatta because of that paper. So you see, this paper is read all over all over Kenya. Then we have also TV programs like Farmers TV, where our innovators go and talk about their research. The first two which started just the last month, we had someone talking about the rare fruits, making juice from the neglected fruits, and it was aired. And then someone also was talking about insects as food. So we talk about it on TV, radio. We have a long-standing TV program called Mukulima TV. Mukulima is a Swahili word meaning farmers TV. So it's in Kiswahili with our Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, which is the national broadcaster. So we have been doing this for the last over 10 years. So we are actually reaching out to farmers. Now, having said that, we have a lot of responses. People come, people call. We have an extension and technology transfer directorate under my division. Okay. So because we have research, we have now production and innovation development, and we have extension and technology transfer. Now in this one, we do a lot of things. We even train farmers. They come here, tailor-made programs. Some of them come for mushroom production. Some of them come for indigenous vegetables, which is my area. Anything that they have seen on TV or they have seen during the shows, they call and then they come and then we organize that. So there's so much we are doing. So we actually so much on the ground. We work so much also with farmers on the ground. When we do research, we also do demonstrations in various areas. In Kenya, we have administrative divisions called counties. Okay. So counties, what we normally do, we go to the counties, we explain or give them a presentation about our innovation, that they choose what they want. Like in the last, just to give an example, in the last year, early this year, we developed an MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, with one of the counties. I'm just giving as an example. Okay. And then we partnered with them. We wanted to commercialize African indigenous vegetables. So what we did, we looked for partners, and it was driven by one of the counties. And then we came up with even a training manual and so on. So what we want to do, we want to produce indigenous vegetables. Indigenous vegetables, I don't know if you have them, there are many indigenous vegetables in Africa which are neglected. So we want now to make it commercial. So they are produced in this county, and then we have that transporting, packaging, and bring them to Nairobi. So that's one of the, it's among many other innovations. So partnering with counties means that we are going down to the people.
Yeah, your institution is doing a lot in terms of agriculture.
Thank you.
But who are your core collaborators?
Okay, we have in this university, we have about 250 collaborators.
Okay.
We value collaboration because there's a saying which says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go with other people. So we really value collaborations. So we have very many collaborations. Our major collaborators, actually, to start with, to be fair, is JICA. JICA, I name it as the first collaborator because actually it's the one who that initiated this university as a technical university. We started as a technical university where we were training diploma, and then, of course, in agriculture, food technology, and technology. So the JICA, Japanese government, has been our original collaborators. But since then, we've got other partners, national and international. Within Kenya, we collaborate with various departments. We collaborate with the Department even of Agriculture. As we speak now, we have a national task force in horticulture, and we are part of it. So we really collaborate with various stakeholders and government departments. We also collaborate with other research institutions, national, international. In Kenya, we have what we call Kenya Agricultural Livestock and Research Center, KALRO, and we do a lot of research with them in terms of just research, and also we do a lot of student supervision together with that one. Then we have even regional bodies like RUFORAM.
Okay.
RUFORAM is based, the headquarters is in Makerere, but it's, I think, Africa-wide. So we have done a lot of work in training people in such methodology, in agricultural topics, and it's been a very good collaborator regionally. And then we have funding bodies and other stakeholders, and as I said, all of them are 250, but not all of them are agriculture, but the large percentage of them are agricultural, in agricultural areas.
Okay. To conclude, do you think Africa will ever be food sufficient?
To be honest, in my opinion, I think it can be because of the following reasons. One, we have the human resource. We have so much agriculturists that have been trained. They have the technology. They have also learned a lot of things. So we have a human resource. Human resource is very important. We have a lot of well-known, international agriculturists. That's number one. Number two, I know that Africa is the only continent that has a large tracts of land that we can do agriculture. So that is number two. Number three, we have technologies that we are developing and have been developed that can also change how we look at agriculture and how to produce enough food for not just for Africa, for the world. The other issue I want to say that is the way we need to look at agriculture. We need to look at agriculture as a business so that we are producing this food not just for subsistence. We're producing food that will be able to feed the world. Then lastly, I want to say that when we look at agriculture, we have some indigenous foods that we have had in Africa. And because some food was introduced in Africa from foreign countries, we neglect our own food, which from research evidence is even better in terms of productivity, in terms of nutrition, in terms of even resilient to some of the challenges like drought. So we find that if we can even exploit some of these foods, it will be very important that we can use this, because when we want to produce, we have a diversified collection or rich biodiversity, and all these factors point to the fact that actually if we don't produce the food, as people will come and take the land and produce. So we have to take control of production, and I think and I believe that Africa should be the food basket in the 21st century. There's no other continent. So there is hope, and so we just need to get organized, make use of our resources, natural and human, and we get organized and activate, and also make sure that our policies, like we have the Africa we want in Agenda 2063.
Okay.
The sky is the limit. I think we can be there. We can make it if we are willing and we are organized and just do it. I think we can.
I also think we can. Thank you very much, Prof, for your time, and we hope that next time we'll call on you for any program you avail yourself to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you for the opportunity.
This brings us to the end of this edition of AAU Talks, which was on innovation for food security in Kenya. I've been discussing this topic with Professor Mary Abukutsa, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research, Production and Extension at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology here in Kenya. You can continue watching our various programs on Facebook and YouTube and on our dedicated website at tv.aau.org. Do stay tuned for more exciting programs on AAU TV. Till next time, bye.